Hi, it's Amy from American Quilting and Under the Garden Moon, and today I'm going to show you how to foundation paper piece. So you're going to need several items. So the first thing you're going to need is your pattern, and you're going to cut it apart so that it's just a little bit outside of the trim lines. So you can see these little dashed lines. You're going to trim about 1/8 of an inch just outside of those trim lines. So here's what it looks like after you've got it all cut into parts. These patterns are labeled with colors. R means R, BL is black, BE is beige, and so those are labeled for you. But if you want to do that on your own, if a pattern isn't labeled, I suggest to do that so that you know which color you're going to sew where. The next thing you're going to do is fold your patterns. And you're going to need a little flexible ruler like this. This one is a regular ruler, 6-inch ruler, and this one is a metric 6-inch ruler. Either one will work, and you're going to mark a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you're going to take all of your little papers individually, and you're going to notice that they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to lay the ruler so that you're going to put a fold inside the bigger number. So you're always going to start with 1, and so the fold will be in 2. Then you're going to do another fold in 3, and another fold in 4, and another fold in 5. I use this shaded area. You can see this on the metric ruler. That's just kind of a scant 1/4 inch, and I just like that amount of seam. If you're using a regular ruler, you're going to put it so that the 1/4 inch mark is on the solid line on your pattern. So I put a fold in number 2. Now I'm going to put a fold in number 3. I'm going to put a fold in number 4. And as I'm folding, you're going to notice that you're going to do a fold just outside of every seam line that's on the pattern. So we're going to fold all the pieces that go to our quilt block, and then we'll get back to you when we start to sew. Okay, now I have all of my papers all folded, and now I'm ready to tack with a little bit of glue the first piece. So you look at the pattern, and I've labeled this that the number 1 is beige. And so on the back, I put a little dab of glue, and then I put my square that I've pre-cut. Over here are all of my pre-cut pieces so that I can have everything ready to go, and your instructions for pre-cutting are on your pattern. Okay, so to do this, I have 2 left to glue. So here's my number 1 spot. I always just hold my finger on it and turn it over so I know where I'm putting my glue. And I just use a little glue stick and put a little tiny dab. It's beige and it's a triangle shape. So I'm going to get one of my triangles, and then when I put it on there, I'm going to line it up so that the straight edge is lined up on the fold. And I'm going to center it because I've trimmed my pattern so it's pretty close to the same amount around all the sides. Then I'm going to hold my pattern up to the light and look through it and make sure that this triangle has a seam allowance around all 3 sides. So pre-cutting your fabric is really important when you're doing paper piecing. Instead of just getting a big hunk of fabric and then laying it on and then having to flip it and trim it, it's much easier to just guess big and put a big triangle on where you know it's going to work. Okay, and I always glue all my number 1 pieces for that block so that I'm ready to sew, and then I can chain piece several of these. And I know where to glue because I have my fold or my trim line. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at number 2. Here's number 2, and it's a black, and it's a triangle. So I'm going to find one of my black triangles, and that's piece number 2. I'm going to place it, this is right side up. I've glued the back side of the fabric. I'm going to put number 2 fabric on it, and I'm going to line up along that raw edge. Then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to sew. Do you want that light off? I'm going to sew along that solid line. And since this seam is close to the edge, I'm going to go right off the paper. I always use a leader if I can, so that I don't have to have long tails. Then I'm going to take it to my ironing board and I'm going to open it up and I'm going to press it. And you can see where I've sewn right along that solid line. And since I know what size this triangle is going to be, next I'm going to look and make sure that I've got a seam allowance. I'll just hold it up to the light and make sure. And then I'll press it, and then I will do another few numbers.